Okay, so we're going to get started. Welcome everybody to our presentation titled Empowering Indigenous Entrepreneurship, Accessing Funding and Training Opportunities. Before we get into today's presentation, we just have a few introductions. Okay, so my name is Melissa, and I'm the Incubator Program Coordinator at the Innovation Quarters. And what we do is that we offer a 6-month-long incubator program, and that helps new startups succeed with one-on-one mentoring, programming and training, networking and events, and a collaborative workspace. As you can see in the photos, our program is completely free, and it's a really amazing opportunity for you to develop your idea. However, it's only offered to the residents of Greater Sudbury. But that being said, our space is also open to the public. So if you are in Sudbury and you're just tired of working from your home, or you do want to get together with your team and everybody's working remote, you can use our office space, come and work here for the day or rent the space over the month, which also gives you access to boardrooms and meeting rooms and things like that. So you can take a look at the events that we put on, learn more about our space and our program at our website at innovationquarters.ca. Our co-host for today is the Regional Business Center. They're our sister organization. They're a wonderful organization that is a one-stop shop for information and guidance on starting, expanding, and operating a business. They serve a bigger catchment area, including Greater Sudbury, Espanola, Manitoulin Island, and the surrounding areas with services including those one-on-one meetings, business plan support, market research, how to register your business, and more. So essentially, if you have any question about I'm not sure what I'm doing with my business. How do I register it? How do I take a look at the licensing I need? Things like that. They can help you out. You can call them, or you can visit their website at regionalbusiness.ca and take a look at more of what they offer. Our calendars are shared. We have the same events kind of going on, so you can take a look at the events coming up on their calendar as well. Then we do have, so our summer's a little bit more quiet, but we do have one in August and one in September. August is SEO and analytics for small businesses. So that's for your website, how to make it better perform and how to review how it's performing and improve it. And then how to generate sales. That's with guest speaker Joanne Bouchard from the Adult and Youth Enrichment Center happening in September. So yeah, just some tips from her organization on how they improve that aspect of their business. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's speaker, Emilio Tomaselli. So Emilio is a seasoned business development officer offering financing solutions to Indigenous businesses for Waubetek Business Development Corporation, or as we just call it, Waubetek. So Emilio led multiple economic initiatives, including business startups for over 11 years while serving as the economic development director for his home community in Shishigwaning First Nation, and that's on Manitoulin. And Emilio's career began in financial services, having worked at RBC and TD Canada. And by the end of this webinar, you're going to be able to comprehend more of what Waubetek offers, and then hopefully you'll be ready to go ahead and to apply for what it is, what programming or assistance that you need from Waubetek. So welcome, Emilio.
Thank you, Melissa, and hello, everybody. Great to meet you, and thanks for joining us today. I have a presentation prepared for you, and I'm going to just start to share my screen now, and we can get into it. So again, I just want to say thanks for the invitation to present here today. Today, we're going to talk about some of the programs and services that are available at Waubetek Business Development Corporation, otherwise known as Waubetek, and that's how I'll refer to it throughout the presentation. And so today's learning objectives were to discuss accessing funding and training opportunities. And I'm going to more speak to the accessing funding portion, but I will talk about training opportunities that are available through other programs and sources. And I want to have some open dialogue because maybe there's opportunity for the group to share about different training resources that they may be familiar with. So I'll just jump right into the presentation here. And so Waubetek is an Indigenous financial institution, and it delivers business financing to new and existing businesses for their business startups and for business expansions. And that we deliver services across northeastern Ontario. Waubetek is a member of the Community Futures Ontario group network, I mean to say, and that consists of 60 community futures development corporations across Ontario. And Waubetek is also a member of the National Aboriginal, um, apologies here, National Aboriginal Capital Corporation of Canada, so in short form NACA. And so both of these organizations we're members to them, and we receive financing to assist small businesses for the CF region, Community Futures region, and also for our service delivery area. So here's a map, a picture of kind of a visual of what our service delivery area is. So we have a service delivery area of Highway 17. So basically from Sault Ste. Marie, I'm not sure if you can see my pointer, from Sault Ste. Marie over to Sudbury, then over the North Bay and Mattawa. It doesn't show up on the map here, but it's just uh, east of North Bay, and all the way up to Temagami, and just kind of touching the Temiskaming Shores kind of area. And so a lot of these areas are very remote, outside of the main highways. So we kind of branch off these main highways, and then we also service Highway 11 down into Barrie, all the way to Temagami again, as I mentioned, and North Bay, and also Highway 69 and 400 south to Barrie and Orillia. And so we go over as far as about Midland, maybe Collingwood area. I think the furthest maybe might be like Tiny or Meaford kind of area towards Collingwood, and also all the way over to Georgina Island, and basically up from there up Highway 11. So that's our service delivery area. And we also service 27 First Nations across Ontario. And here's a list of them here. I'm not going to name them all off, but we have a lot of First Nations that are located across the North Shore, Manitoulin Island, into the Georgian Bay, Parry Sound region, and right into the North Bay and Barrie. So Waubetek has loan financing programs available to small businesses that are located within the business service delivery area. And so some of these loan funds include the Waubetek Community Futures Loan Fund, the Waubetek Loan Fund, the Waubetek Indigenous Economic Development Loan Fund. And we have a couple new programs that have come on board in the last 2 years. There's the Indigenous Women Entrepreneurs Microloan Program and the Indigenous Women Entrepreneurs Loan Fund. And so I'll just start off with the Community Futures Loan Fund. Now this one is a bit more specific to our Community Futures catchment area. And so our Community Futures catchment area is on Manitoulin Island and Sagamuk. So any First Nations or communities kind of within this area, we can access the Community Futures Loan Fund. And so with that comes access to up to $300,000 in loan financing. In addition to that, we could top that up if in certain situations, if required, and there's the business shows viability to increase that loan up to a maximum of $400,000. And so we would access other loan fund programs that I'll mention here in a little bit. There's also in some instances where a project might require a bit more lending, and we have the ability to access a pooled investment pool through the Northeastern network of Community Futures. So what in that instance, what we would do is we would reach out to the investment pool and see if they're open to looking at taking on collectively as a pool the increase of $200,000 of financing that we are not able to support on our own as a Community Futures agency. And so with this particular program and most of our programs, what we do is we follow Bank of Canada prime rate. And today it's actually 6.7%, plus an additional 2.5% for low risk projects, 3.5% for medium risk, and 4.5% for higher risk projects. And repayment terms we typically see that are usually 12 or 24 to 60 months. But in some instances, longer repayment terms can be available. And I guess the one thing to keep in mind is the assets that are going to be pledged as collateral. We want to ensure that there's the useful life of those assets will be available, or the useful economic life of those assets will be available in the instance that if we ever had to collect on the collateral, we could in turn try and recoup some of the costs that are associated with the remaining loan if there was a default. So, in some instances, I've seen projects maybe that require some construction and have, assets that are have a longevity where, we've seen loans of up to 15 years. So just keep in mind, though, that, we typically look at the useful economic life of the asset and the strength of the applicant as well, too. Another program we have is the Waubetek Loan Fund, very similar to the Community Futures Loan. Only difference being is that this is for the broader service area, so all the regions I mentioned earlier. And so for this program, again, loans up to 300,000, we can potentially look for a top up of an additional $100,000, bringing your total loan to $400,000. For this program, we don't have access to that investment pool, so 400 would be the maximum that we could potentially access for you. Again, same interest rates, 2.5 to 4.5% above prime for projects depending on the level of risk. And again, repayment terms of 24 to 60 months are typical, but we do also observe longer repayment terms if required and if there is suitability for requiring longer repayment terms. Another program we have is the Indigenous Economic Development Loan Fund. And so this program is generally for projects that are up under $100,000 for lending requirements. And again, same terms, 6.7% plus 2.5 to 4.5, depending on risk. And this one here, we wouldn't be stacking with another program. This is more for projects that are under $100,000 in loan financing requirements. Okay, and then one of the newer programs we have is the Indigenous Women Entrepreneurs Microloan Fund. And so this program, again, is for the entirety of Waubetek service delivery area. Microloans we can go up to is $20,000. And of that microloan, so what you do is you apply for it, and the financing you require, 5% of the is required as equity, and the remaining 95% could be applied for as a loan. And so of that 95% loan amount, 45% of that amount can be eligible as a non-repayable portion. So your requirement to pay back on the loan would only be 55% of that loan amount. And so you can do that over 24 to 60 months. Again, it'll be dependent on the collateral that we have registered and the useful life, economic life of those collaterals. For this particular program, though, we can go with interest rates as low as Bank of Canada Prime. Again, yesterday it actually lowered from 6.95% down to 6.7%. So this fluctuates, and that's what we keep an eye on. For this particular program, we can go as low as that Bank of Canada Prime. And this program is generally for projects that are $60,000 or less. So if you have a total project cost that is $65,000 or $100,000, this program wouldn't fit your project. And essentially, what it is, catered to is for smaller businesses that are Indigenous women owned. And so again, to be Indigenous women owned, it must be 51% of the businesses owned and controlled by an Indigenous women entrepreneur. And there are, if on paper it says that it's 51% or 75% owned, but then there's a non-Indigenous spouse that's a partner to the project, those are considered to be 50-50 and would not be eligible. But if you're in partnership with a colleague and you own 75% and they own 25% and there's no relationship status, like marital status in a sense, then those projects would be considered eligible because the 51% threshold is still met. So another, I guess, avenue, or I want to call it a bonus, I guess, for this particular program is you don't require a business plan. We have an Indigenous Women Entrepreneurs Business Planning Guide that you can fill out and complete. But I always do recommend, having a strong business plan because it really maps out what you're going to be doing. In a lot of instances, this program, meets the needs of part-time businesses or businesses that are trying to get started out slowly. And, as compared to our regular programs and services, they require full substantive involvement or full-time employment in the business. So this would be a good program to consider if you're looking at doing a side hustle or some type of part-time employment outside of your regular employment, or if you're looking just to get started and already have a project that's ready to go, and you want a quick avenue to access some financing. Again, keep in mind the financing is limited up to $20,000 in loan financing, and it's for projects that are less than $60,000. Next program we have is our IWE Women Entrepreneur Loan Fund. And this fund is actually somewhat in line with the microloan program, but the difference is being that loans of up to $50,000, and you can come in with as little as 5% equity. But if you're looking to access grant funding, or sorry, I want to call it conditional contribution financing on top of the loan, then those programs generally require a minimum of 10% equity towards them. And so with this program, again, repayment terms of anywhere from 24 to 60 months. And again, for this one here, though, it's Bank of Canada Prime plus 2.5 to 4.5% depending on your risk. And so this one is for projects that are $100,000 or less. And so aside from that, though, if you were outside of that $100,000 mark, you would just apply to a regular financing program. So in addition to loan financing, we have what's called non-repayable conditional contributions. And essentially what that is grants. We don't call them grants at Waubetek. We call them conditional contributions. And so we have two programs that we access. And so the first one being the Aboriginal Business Financing Program. And again, we call it a non-repayable conditional contribution. And that program goes up to $99,999. The same goes for the Indigenous Economic Development Fund. Again, it's a non-repayable conditional contribution, but this one ends at $50,000. So I've got, just a screenshot of the website there. I wanted to show you where you can go to access the application forms for each of these programs, but also to give you an idea of what some of the programs are that we deliver those conditional contributions under. So the first off being, we have the Waubetek Business Planning Support Conditional Contribution. We have a Waubetek Capital Startup Expansion conditional contribution, and a Waubetek Business Support Conditional Contribution, as well as a Waubetek Marketing Conditional Contribution. And the business planning and the business support is wrapped up into one application, and I'll just peruse over that here. So we'll start off. This is the application you would access for business startups or expansions. And so some information, again, it's for projects that are within our service delivery area. If you're located on Manitoulin Island or Sagamok region, you would still fill out the same application. It would just be a different loan fund that we would be looking at when considering your financing request. So the intent of this one is to assist Indigenous entrepreneurs finance the costs associated with starting up or expanding their business. And this particular fund, you can access up to 40% in conditional contribution financing, and your project can, or sorry, your conditional contribution financing request cannot exceed $99,999. I noticed there's a little error in that. It should be 3 more nines on that figure. And so your minimum cash equity requirement is 10% for capital financing applications. And so how that would break down, I guess I should have included just a little bit more information. So if you had, let's just say, $100,000 project, you would have to prove equity that you have cash available in a business bank account or your personal bank account, showing that you have $10,000 of unencumbered cash equity available. And what you would do is access a conditional contribution of up to 40%, and the remaining amount, 50%, would be in the form of a loan. And so for accessing conditional contributions, be it Aboriginal Business Financing Program or the Indigenous Economic Development Fund, we must leverage commercial debt financing. And you can do that either through Waubetek, or if you have a commercial lender, you can also go through them as well. Depending on if you're able to get a better rate with them, that might be an option for you. But if you are bringing another lender to the table, we look to see that you have a conditional approval from that lender when we're assessing your application. So with all capital financing requests, or even marketing requests that are over 15,000, but in general, all capital requests, we look for a business plan, and not just Waubetek's business planning guide, which is on our website. But I'll speak to that a bit more as we go further into the session here. And so if you don't have a business plan, or if you're looking for some support to get your business started, maybe you need some assistance with your financial records management, or you're looking to get some legal support to set up your business, we can access the Waubetek Business Planning and Waubetek Business Support Conditional Contribution under one application. And so I've got a picture of it up on the screen here. And essentially what it is, it helps finance the costs associated with hiring a consultant to prepare a business plan or a feasibility study. In addition to that, the business support aspect of it is to help with hiring a bookkeeper, an accountant, or accessing legal support, or costs associated with training or mentoring. For this particular program, the financing guidelines are a little bit different than the capital. So this program itself doesn't involve any lending. It's conditional contribution and cash equity. And so your first project under this program, you can receive up to 75% in conditional contribution financing. Again, it cannot exceed the $99,990 maximum. And your minimum equity contribution requirement would be 25%. So if you applied to this particular program and you brought in an estimate of maybe $10,000 to do some business planning and to also do some maybe some bookkeeping and accounting or legal, your requirement would be $2,500 as cash equity. And so you would just provide proof of that in the form of a bank statement that has your business name, your account information, numbers, and the balance that are available on that statement. And so that could be used to prove your equity. The next program we have, I guess the final one, that falls under our regular lending streams or financing streams, is the marketing project conditional contribution. Again, very similar to the business planning and business supports application, only difference being this is more specific to marketing. For projects that are below 15,000, we look for a detailed application to be filled out. But once you start to exceed that $15,000 mark, we start to look for a bit more information from you, and that might be a full-on marketing plan, or maybe a revision to that includes some marketing efforts in your business plan. But we definitely will look to know more about your activity, and so that might be through us reaching out and requesting additional information. So again, program again is a 75% conditional contribution and 25% minimum cash equity contribution. And finally, we have the Indigenous Women Entrepreneurs Mentorship Grant Program. And so this is a newer program. We've just got application forms completed within the last month and a half. I've revised them because they were a little hard to fill out, and so I've got a newer application ready to go. And this program is meant to acquire a mentorship for 6 months. For IWEs and that are in the early planning stages or launching their business or even expanding their business. And so under this particular program, participants are eligible for an IWE mentorship grant of up to $3,000, with 50% being payable at the beginning of the program and 50% being paid at the end of the program. In addition to that, Waubetek will provide a mentor honorarium to an approved mentor that is vetted through Waubetek. So for mentors, they receive a 50% payment at the 3-month mark, and then again at the end of the program. So if you have a potential mentor that you feel has the experience and you'd like to study under them, you can present them, send their information to us, and I can get an application form to them for them to become a mentor. And so another service, though, that we've been pairing with is called the Forum. I've got a link to their website on here, but if you just Google the Forum, you'll see it's a mentorship pairing agency that's looks at focusing or specializing specifically for women entrepreneurs. And so through the Forum, we were able to secure costing that allows for 12 months of mentorship pairing, but we're only going to look at the 6-month mark to be able to pay out the mentorship grant. And in addition to that, the Forum also has some entrepreneurship workshops and programs and certificate programs that you could access as well. So if you are interested in this program, look to get you to reach out to myself or a business development officer here at Waubetek. And my information will be provided at the end there. But we want to get an understanding of what your need is and to look at if you're going to be a good candidate for the program, and but also to help you fill out the application form once you've received it. I can tell we're already 51 minutes into it here, so I only have about maybe 6 more slides, so I'm going to try and rush through these here. We have an application process. Typically people call in, and we call this the inquiry stage. At that point in time, we look to just learn a bit more about yourself, where you're from, where the business is going to be located, just to get a grasp of if this project is going to be eligible and if we should be sending applications forms to you. With the application submission, we want to ensure that you have a fully completed application and applicant IDs for all the business owners. We need proof of First Nation or Inuit membership, so either be it through an Indian status card or an Inuit membership card. We'll also look for resumes and certificates for each of the applicants, business registration documents, business plan, business insurance, etc. And if you're looking to find out what is required, we can always talk about that in a bit more detail. And so before we can consider your application, we have to ensure that it's been vetted as being complete. And one thing I want to mention is that costs incurred or business contracts signed before your application has been reviewed and accepted for completeness will not be considered. So that's a very important aspect. You want to make sure you have your application in before you enter into contracts or purchase any equipment or supplies from your vendors. And then we go into the screening phase, and essentially what we're looking to do here is to determine if you're eligible, if your project is eligible, and if there's any more documentation we require. And then we go through the approval process, and once we've screened your project, we begin to prepare a detailed business analysis, And once that's completed, we send it off to management for review. And so for projects that are $100,000 or less, we can have those reviewed by staff internally and our internal management. And for projects that are over $100,000, they actually go to the Waubetek Board of Directors monthly meeting. And that's generally every third week of each calendar month. And finally, so payment, what we look to do here is collect a completed claim form from you. We're claims based, so in that sense, we need to ensure that we have a paid invoice or receipt, proof of payment. So that would be through a business banking statement. All of the purchases must be electronic based, so not cash payments. We don't accept cash payments as proof. So we want to see electronic based payments to be able to include those in your claim. And we can either reimburse you for costs you've paid directly, or we could pay the vendor directly. So those are some of the options. And then monitoring, within your letter of offer that you'll receive once you've been approved, there'll be a condition that identifies your monitoring period. Generally, it's usually the life of the loan, but if there's no loan attached, it may be a year or 2 years, but it'll be detailed in your in your letter of offer. And so essentially what we look to do is there's a business performance review form that we need filled out, and also we look to collect annual financial statements. Okay, so I wanted to just touch on business planning. I really do want to encourage, we have a strong business plan to support your business financing application. And what I've done here is I've just pulled, the website up again. And so you can see this tools and resources tab. There's another drop down button that comes up and it says business plan. And so within this tab here, what it provides is essentially an overview of what's required in a business plan when we're looking to review it and prepare a business analysis from that business plan. We look for these key informations, and you can actually use this as a terms of reference document if you're looking to get quotes from consultants. And so here's a better look at that. What that business plan terms of reference includes. And so you can refer back to that page if you're looking to apply for business planning supports. When you seek quotes from your potential consultants, what you would do is just share this with them, just so that they know what it is. And so when you get quotes back, especially if you're getting multiple quotes, that you're going to have a pretty, fair quotes coming in that are pretty common, or apples to apples, I guess, or oranges to oranges in a sense, where they're very similar and cover the same types of work. And I'm going to close off just by speaking about training programs and different training programs that are available in our area. I've only put the ones that I'm familiar with, and I did want to give opportunity if there's anyone that is familiar of any others, if you're able to share them in the chat section there. But what we have in our area, Sudbury specifically, Sudbury, Prairie Sound, and North Bay, is Gashwajig Employment and Training. And they service the areas of Sudbury, Prairie Sound, and North Bay with programs that include self-employment assistance programs, purchases of courses, training allowances, but they also provide different client resource services like resume writing workshops and job bank bulletins sent to their clients. And Gashwajig training, employment and training, very much similar to Waubetek LMS, and they're located in Wikwemekong. There's Indigenous Employment and Training, and so they service the First Nations of Waubetek, Amnikoning, Shagwenda, Shishigwaning, Whitefish River, and Jibosing. And there's Chiging LDM, and they do the same for their band members and employers that are from Chiging. So if you know of any others that are along the 69 corridor or I see that Gesrajig does North Bay, Parry Sound. But if there are others that you're familiar with, maybe one in Sault Ste. Marie, if you do have a moment to drop information about that in the chat, that would be great. And that's summarizes basically everything that I wanted to speak to today. And I guess kind of open it back up to the floor here to see if there's any questions that we have. Also, again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Here's my information here. You can just call me directly or send me an email, or you can also access us through Waubetek at waubetek.com. It's our general delivery mailbox as well. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Emilio, for a great presentation. And don't worry, you didn't have to rush. We do have a little bit of time left for questions, so that's excellent. So yes, please feel free to type your questions in the chat, or if you have additional resources you want to share, please go ahead and type those in the chat. I do want to share one resource. The Regional Business Center is able to support a lot of you, not only with, your business plan or your market research while you're, looking to apply for some of these wonderful, I don't want to call them grants, conditional, what is it you call them again?
Conditional contributions.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So, we do have the ability to kind of review that before you submit as well to kind of help you to make sure you have the right research and business plan information. So you can contact the regional business for that. But they also have Starter Company Plus program. It runs once a year, so we'll be looking at a spring intake. So probably your applications would be going in the winter, but that is a program that offers training on how to start a business, how to operate a business. And at the end of the program, you write a business plan and then you can receive up to $5,000. And that is open to the Regional Business Center's catchment area. Yeah, which I really encourage you all to apply for. Let's take a look at our chat. We're seeing some thank yous in there.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, a question from Adrian. Can you collaborate different funds within Waubetek?
So yes, for most programs, so essentially, when you look at the regular loan financing programs, we collaborate those with the conditional contributions. So if you're looking to do a capital financing application, what you typically would be requesting is some conditional contribution support from either Aboriginal Business Financing Program or the Indigenous Economic Development Fund. And in addition to that would be some loan financing. And so you would leverage your equity, a loan financing, and also a conditional contribution. In addition to that, our regular programs and services, we have the Women Entrepreneurs Loan Fund. So that was the one that goes up to $50,000 in loan financing. That program, again, you could potentially access conditional contributions into that program as well. For the microloan program, that's a standalone program. You could just access the microloan because built within that microloan program is a 45% non-repayable loan portion that kind of acts as the conditional contribution. But the way it's worded, it's actually a forgivable loan portion.
Thank you, Emilio.
Sorry, just to speak a little more. I guess another way to look at it too, if you look at from other programs and services offered maybe at Northern Ontario Heritage Fund or through FedNor or other local initiatives that are available, we can provide financing that includes a mix of different financing sources that come through. We just have to ensure that they don't exceed 60% conditional contributions or grant financing. So there has to be, again, your equity and financing, loan financing that is injected into the business, and grants or conditional contributions can exceed 60%. Hopefully that answers that for you.
We have a question from Sue about getting the PowerPoint presentation. I do want to let the group know that we will be sending the link to the recording today to everybody that attended. So you're welcome to, review the video, watch it again, share it with anybody that you know. Emilio, if you have the PowerPoint, you can send it to me. And in that email we send with the video, we can also attach the file if that was okay with you.
Excellent. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Great. I see there's more typing in the chat, but as you all type, I also have a question about ownership. You've talked about ownership requiring 51% indigenously owned to qualify for many of the opportunities that you shared. Would that be the same whether you're incorporated, whether you're a partnership, for example?
Correct. Yeah. So it would be the same for be it a sole proprietorship or a partnership or a corporation. The primary applicant would need to be Indigenous, and their ownership stake and decision-making capacity in the business would have to be greater 51% or greater. And now there is a bit of little bit of a change, kind of our exception, kind of where you have partnerships that include spousal relationships. And in that instance, we assess them as being 50-50 if there's a non-Indigenous partner, regardless of the percentage that's put on a document or business registration documents. And so when you look at the Indigenous applicants' ownership level, that's how we determine our financing. And so the Indigenous applicant would be the one that's applying for the financing. There is a little bit of difference though with the Indigenous Women Entrepreneurship Microloan Fund. It just looks at 51% as being the threshold. It does not accept where there is a relationship because it counts those as 50-50 and it requires 51%, that particular program. But you could potentially apply with a non-Indigenous partner and access the full microloan because it's a loan. And yeah, that kind of speaks to that, I hope. Yep.
Great. And we have one more question from Adrian. How long can you apply for expansion loan from last loan application?
Well, typically we want to see your existing project completed before we can start a new one. So there's not really a time frame. If you have rapid growth and you have an expansion that's going to be required right away, and you've completed your other project, and you've maybe you've paid down a good portion of your debt that you have, we can consider your application. Like as I mentioned before, it would all be dependent on having your other projects completed, and also we would look at if we're able to add additional loan financing to your project.
Great. I'm not seeing any more questions come in, but maybe as a final note, Emilio, could you share with the group maybe the best piece of advice you would have to someone looking to either start a business or is just starting out a business?
But I think the business plan is the most important piece, and working with there's supports that are available as Melissa mentioned at the Regional Business Center in Sudbury. There's regional business centers across Ontario. So depending on where you're living, there will be a regional business center that you would access. So if you're in the Barrie area, there's Simcoe, Aurelia, Barrie. If you're in North Bay, there's a regional business center that way as well. And again, for Timiskaming, Shores, and Sault Ste. Marie, there's regional business centers in many of the areas. And if you are from another area, I imagine if you reached out to Melissa, she might be able to find contact information for her peers across Ontario that can support you with that. So the business plan to me is the most important thing. Ensuring that you have enough cash equity to get your project started, but also ensuring that you have enough to cover costs for HST. And then, essentially making sure that your business structure is going to support your lifestyle, your business, and reaching out to professionals for advice is always important. And that to me, I think is the most important, is reaching out to professionals, working with the resource groups that are available to you, and just talking about it with others. I think that's the most important thing to do, is share what you're experiencing, and reach out for help if you need, wherever that might be.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Emilio. That's a great piece of advice to end on. We're all here to see you succeed, right? We want to see your businesses thrive. We want to see more Indigenous owned businesses out there and being amazing. So yes, thank you so much, Emilio. And thank you everybody for attending. We'll be sending that email with that recording. We'll also include a quick little survey just to see how you've liked today's presentation. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your Thursday and the weekend that's coming up. I'm sure we're all looking forward to that.
Thanks again, Melissa. Thanks, Denise.
Take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.